Jennifer Weymark. I'm the archivist at the Oshawa Museum. I have been archivist for I've been at the museum since 1999 in the role of archivist since 2000. I am in charge of managing the archival collection, which is basically the information history of Oshawa, documents, photographs, that kind of thing. Melissa Cole is our curator. She's the one in charge of the artifact history. In that role, I'm fortunate enough that we put a premium or a focus on original primary research, and Dr. Jane Plews has been one of my research projects. It's going as well as I can expect. I've had a couple other people who have dug into Dr. Plews before, so I've been able to kind of use them as a starting point. There was a woman by the name of Elizabeth Toop who worked with us, 2010. She started her research into Dr. Plews, so she was kind of a great reference, and then the former executive director here, Laura Suchin, carried on and kind of see what she could find on her. So there isn't a lot. It all began with an ad in the 1862 Oshawa, was it the Vindicator or Reformer? Vindicator. So the Oshawa Vindicator, just saying, Dr. Jane Plews, gave the location of her office, specializing in women's medicine. So went from there. No, she's unusual. I mean, if you dig into the Cincinnati Eclectic Medical Institute of Cincinnati, they'll tell you about women in medicine, and within their graduating class, they took note of the number of women, and there were not many. In Jane's graduating class, there were only 2 women that I took note of. And it was a distance. I mean, there was nothing in Canada at the time, so she had to travel down to Cincinnati to go to school and to work towards her degree. And that would have been a long trek. We believe she probably lived in Bowmanville before she headed down, because one of the school's annuals had noted that she was in Bowmanville. So she left Bowmanville, went down to Cincinnati, attended school, and then came back here upon her graduation and began practicing. A lot of people kind of during this time period kept diaries. So if she kept a diary, something like that would be amazing. Either delving into her personal life or delving into kind of her academic and professional life would be fabulous. Something from the school, maybe her diploma, would be interesting as well. What was her driving force? I mean, she is operating outside of the traditional, expectations of a young unmarried woman at the time. What was her driving force? Did she have a real love of caring for people, or was her focus on learning more and more? What was her focus, her driving force? Because that's always interesting. I always love to learn about, the human experience and why, somebody does something. And I can't tell that from the documents that are currently available. Sure, I can make guesses. Clearly she was driven. I mean, driven enough to leave Bowmanville to go to Cincinnati. So there was certainly something that was driving her to follow passions. I mean, I truly do, from all evidence that we have currently available to us, she truly appears to have been the first woman to practice medicine in Oshawa. But if you say her name, she's not well known. So I think this is where we, as people who know who she was and have at least that little bit of information, can start to bring it forward and be like, this woman was here and she was practicing medicine at a time when it was very male dominated. Was it years before the first, the women's medical colleges opened. So she's important. She was a trailblazer, and she's not known. So I think that it's our job to teach people about her, and so that they can know that she was here and she made an impact. She, from what I can tell, practiced medicine in Oshawa for close to a decade during a time when women weren't doctors. So I think that's important, and I want more people to know about her. So that's why we are writing about her, and that's why we're researching into her and providing whatever little information we have on her so that she's known. Well, she was a woman operating outside of, like I said, the gender norms of the time period, and she was pushing boundaries, and she was quite clearly following passions of some sort. So I think that's trailblazing, and I think that she probably set the groundwork for other women to follow along in her footsteps in Oshawa. But again, it's hard to know because of the lack of newspapers, so that's conjecture at this point. But I truly do think that she kind of set the groundwork for other women. I mean, she was here and practicing medicine in the 1860s, and that's a huge deal.